All right, guys, here we are with example 2. We're going to do this much the same way we did the last one. So we're starting with our f of x function. Looks a little different this time. It's got a -1 parentheses 3 to the x power minus 2. All right, so it's going to have a little different look to it. So again, the first thing I want to start with is my table so that I can at least get an idea of what this graph's going to look like. And again, I'm not going to go ahead and put my x values there yet either, because I really don't know which ones are going to be nice, neat ones to graph. So I'm going to come to my calculator. Again, if I give you a graphing problem with an exponential like this, I will allow you to use the calculator. There's no question there. So if you've already got something there, you want to get rid of it. Once you hit the table key, you hit clear. So we're going to do -1 parentheses 3, and then exponent, which is that little caret looking key, the little up arrow looking key, and then the x, we talked about how to hit that in the last video. Come down and hit your -2. One thing we talked about last time was that our asymptote was kind of that number that was added or subtracted onto the end. So I'm guessing that maybe my asymptote is going to be -2. Let's see if that happens when I get in here and look at the table of values. Start at 0 this time, just for fun. Remember, you can start wherever you want to. I started on -6 on the last one. I just need to look at some values. All right. Well, I think those are nice, neat ones to graph. So we're definitely going to write down 0, 1, and 2. So 0 was -3. Okay. And then 2 is 1 is -5, and 2 is -11. All right. So now I think, let's see if we keep going. -29. Yeah, we kind of get the idea of graphing that. We'll go ahead and write it down. We may not graph that actual point if we can get the look of the graph without having to do that. So then I'm going to go back here. So -1. All right. I got a not nice. So -2.33. So we'll round that. -2.3. And then if I go to -2, I got -2.11, right? You should start to see a pattern here, see exactly what I was talking about. If I go out to -3, that would be -2.04. And I think y'all can see that we're approaching -2. And if I were to keep going into my negatives, as you can tell, I'm approaching -2, but I'm never actually getting there. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of things we can go ahead and write down. My y-intercept. My y-intercept is 0, -3. My asymptote, I'm just going to abbreviate that, is y equals -2. And I got both of those, and all I did was my table. I didn't even have to graph the thing. So now we want to actually sketch that graph. And then we'll talk about end behavior. I do want to get the sketch. You can probably get the end behavior, honestly, without having to do the sketch. But since it's something that's kind of new, I do want to at least talk about it. That was not a very good graph, but it'll work. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And we need a good interval to count by here to show all this. I've got 5 lines. I need to go to -11 at least. So I'm thinking maybe we should count by, I don't know, 3s. Let's do 2s. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, -2, -4, -6, -8, -10. We can still show the 11 even though we don't have an extra line. Or we can put an extra line. All right, so -3, -2.03. So that's going to be like just below the -2. Okay. -2, -2.11. A little bit lower. Okay. -2.3 at -1. Still, I mean, we're like basically not going down at all, hardly. 0, -3. Since I was counting by 2s, that's going to be halfway between -2 and -4. 1, -5. Okay. And then 2, -11. And without having to graph that -29, I should be able to get an idea of the general shape here. Okay. There's your asymptote. That's the thing that we're approaching. We don't ever get to. And so we want to talk about end behavior. All right. So the end behavior is as x approaches infinity. I always do the right side first, and then I do the left side. It really doesn't matter. You also could put the f of x's first instead of the x's, but it again, that also is preference. So as x approaches infinity, as my x values go to the right, my f of x's go like going down, and they're going to keep going down to negative infinity, right? Because you have positive infinity on top and positive infinity out to the right for your x, your y's, and then your x's. You have negative infinity down for your x's, y's, sorry, and negative infinity to the left for your x values. Okay, so as x goes to infinity, as we go to the right, the graph is going downhill forever and ever. So negative infinity. On the other side, though, as x goes to the left, as we go back to the left, we are approaching a y value of negative 2. So f of x approaches negative 2. Okay? All right. And that's it for that example. Pause it, rewind it if you need to. Moving on to the next one. All right. Create a table of values for this function. So f of x equals 4 times 2/3 to the x power minus 3. The big change here from the last one is, of course, we don't have a negative out front, and we also have a fraction inside the parentheses here. Okay, so here we go. All right, so I'm guessing my intercept is not my intercept. My asymptote is going to be at -3, but we'll see once we plug it in. So I go back to my calculator, go back to here, the y equals, and I've got 4 parentheses. If I want a fraction, I use the fraction key, 2/3. Make sure you close it around the whole fraction, not just the denominator, and then to the x power, and then come down off that and do -3. All right, hit enter, start at nice numbers. Let's see what we got here. All right, so start with 0, and that's 1. All right, so -1/3. So that is +1, and -1/3, which is -0.33 repeating. All right, and then we got -11/9 at 2. So that's -1.22 repeating. All right, keep going. That's -1.8. -2.2. And as you can see, we passed 2. It looked like we might have been getting close there. So I'm going to go out a little further and see if we can figure out. Here we go. What is it? We appear to be approaching -3. And as you can tell, we keep getting closer and closer, but we're not going to get there. Okay, so now I need to go back. I need to go back to the other side and check out my zeros, or my negative numbers on the other side of 0. So I have 3, 6, and then that is 10.5. All right, so y-intercept would be 0, 1. My asymptote is y equals -3. And now we want to go ahead and graph that. I think we'll be good to count by ones this time. All right, so let's see here. We had 0, 1. Okay, then we had 1, -1/3. All right, then we had 2,